drive 2.5 hours from Zurich, as you guys did when you got in on Wednesday. But expanding, I know Aaron was the guy that actually talked to the police. We'll come back to him after the break. But dealing with the bomb scare, what's your take on that? What did you see?
Well, Aaron's the best to explain that because we were at the bottom of the hill. Our car was parked at the top of the hill right out at the hotel, literally about 50 yards from the hotel in the parking area. And we had physically moved our equipment down the hill because the Bilderberg cars were arriving and they had a sharp left turn. So all the cars had to slow down to a crawling speed, which enabled us to get better photographs and have more chance of capturing their faces. So we were at the bottom of the hill. The car was left at the top of the hill. When Aaron went back up the hill to retrieve the car, that was when this whole bomb threat thing began. And I'll put you on to Aaron so he can explain it in detail.
Absolutely. In fact, we're showing video right now for prisonplanet.tv viewers. We're going to get this added to the Drudge Link bomb scare report, where as the Bilderberg groups, you guys found a weak spot where they had to turn around slowly, and we're getting video. Suddenly, they then announced the bomb scare. We're going to go to break here and come back with Aaron Dykes on this breaking news. So as soon as that happened, then they shut down the whole main road to push our people back even further so that we couldn't get video of the globalist arriving. Again, why do they want to hide this? Well, Hillary Clinton had to pay a $300,000+ fine in the mid-'90s for going to Bilderberg and getting caught. That's why now when she goes, they keep it totally secret. And she's in Europe right now, by the way, and no one, quote, knows where she is with her special helper, Mrs. Wiener. You can't make this stuff up. We'll be right back. The Bilderbergs are hiding out in the woods, you see.
I live back in the woods, you see. A woman and the kids and the
Yeah, they're hiding up there in some of the most beautiful territory I've ever seen. Looking at these photos at Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com are breathtaking. Okay, we've got Aaron Dykes and Paul Watson with us. Aaron, tell us about the bomb scare. Then we're getting Tucker on. And we're also going to try to get Mark Anderson on tomorrow from American Free Press, who's there as well, very articulate and informed. You guys in the last 30 minutes today will report back from the steps of the lockdown hotel with the paramilitary police out there. Aaron, describe what happened when you guys found a spot where their cars had to slow down and you were getting Bill Gates and the head of NATO and others. Something happened. Tell us what happened.
Well, the protesters and us had been standing out there all day, and the police have been gradually pushing us back. They built an additional veil further restricting the view of the hotel and the arriving attendees. Then after a few hours today, the police suddenly cordoned off the road itself, blocking off a public parking lot where our car was parked and other people we spoke with. I spoke directly to the chief of police, or the main police officer running that, and he said, tough luck, you can't get your car. He said there's been a bomb scare. Then we found that 2 people have allegedly or reportedly been arrested. Whether or not they were connected with this so-called scare, we don't know. But that was the implication. There was even a claim that they found something.
They did that in 2008 in Virginia. They had the guy that obviously worked for them. They later released him claiming he had a gun. And remember, that guy was there only videotaping us?
That's right. So Bilderberger quite ready to pull a false flag to beat back the protesters and clamp down the public eye because they know people are watching what they're doing, and they want to restrict that as much as possible.
And to be clear, the police told you there had been a bomb threat.
They did say there had been a bomb threat. They said no one could get through, neither cars nor persons. And I was first told it would only be 15 or 20 minutes. Then that extended to 1 to 2 hours. All things told, it ended up being an hour and 15 minutes or so until they opened back up the roads to the bomb scare. Then, of course, police were roping off the area, closing off other entrances. And while a lot of the members came through the main road where everyone were, they were also using a blocked-off one-way entrance for kind of a back door into the hotel as well. So we're doing what we can to cover all angles.
Well, incredible job, Aaron. How many media people and protesters are there, ballpark?
A few dozen, maybe 30 or so. I did see at least one media person. Hopefully others will be showing up. We'll find out.
All right, great job, Aaron. And I know that I'm going to let you travel down into the smoking lounge where Jim Tucker, of 35 years covering Bilderberg in the wilderness, is down there. And I know Jim, at least in the videos I've seen, appears to be a little under the weather, but we'll try to get as much information as we can out of him. And if you then also see Mr. Anderson there, Mark Anderson, also with the same paper, then perhaps we'll talk to Tucker for 5-10 minutes and then hand it off to him. If not, get back in the car, get back over to Bilderberg, maybe drop by the airport first. The scum's probably landing, more of them right now. Of course, they had their minions running around telling us, oh, the airport's closed, nobody's there. That was a bait and switch. It's so routine. Get over there, get the video of that, because they're desperate that we not see them going to this event because they are in there colluding and running agendas. And briefly, Aaron, you've done research on that. I mean, even the BBC admits they are setting a lot of big agendas there.
Yes, they certainly are, Alex. I mean, it's the military-industrial complex combined with the worst bankers you can imagine. Lots of the heads of the banks that we bailed out, as we later found out that the Federal Reserve gave money to foreign banks in Europe. I forget the list, but it's on record. Those are largely the Bilderberg members. So they've created this crisis. They've set themselves up to gain from it, rather. And we're seeing that unfold now, Alex.
Well, these are the people on record, and we told people this 2006, 7, and 8, that would implode the world markets through derivatives, bring in austerity. Everything we said has happened because we have the sources via Tucker. Estelin has had some sources. We have some other sources we don't talk about. But also what we see Bilderberg attendees openly pushing at Davos, the Trilateral Commission reports they put out. We know this is the top of the pyramid. Royalty, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, you name it. We'll let you get down to the lounge and get Tucker on the phone and Anderson after that if you can. Great job, Aaron Dykes, back with us in 2 hours to break down the latest developments from Bilderberg. More on the big protest Wednesday coming up and a lot of other news. Straight ahead on the other side, economic news, new military news, police state news, genetically modified cows that produce human milk. It's all coming up.
We're on the mark.
Yeah, well, I'm in the rear with the gear today. A few weeks ago, I stormed the Texas Capitol with great liberty lovers to demand that they not kill the bill that was unanimously passed by the House to stop the illegal federal 10th Amendment violating, 4th Amendment violating as well, molestation that's going on. And Rick Perry has still not put that back on the special session agenda of the Texas legislature, even though he promised that he supported the bill. Of course, he's a Bilderberg Group attendee and minion. And what do you expect? He says one thing and does another, just like all these other globalists do. Oh, we'd only be in Libya days, not weeks. Here we are 3+ months later. Well, breaking. Secret Bilderberg agenda leaked by Mole via Jim Tucker. It's all up at American Free Press, Infowars.com, and the Drudge Report is linked to it as well. I'm calling for Europeans to march on the Bilderberg tyrants with a peaceful protest Saturday at high noon. This is so important to identify the real scallywags. Very exciting. 35+ years exposing these people. Jim Tucker joins us from the media lounge at the hotel just about 5 minutes away or less from Bilderberg. In fact, you can see the Bilderberg compound from where Tucker is. Jim, thank you for joining us, sir.
It's always fun.
Well, Jim, you got a lot of key intel out from your moles and sources. What is the latest that you can give us?
Well, they're extremely determined to make the war, the invasion of Libya, big bloody war in the Middle East, which would involve every country except Israel, which is to be protected. They were saying today, according to Inside Bilderberg boy, that they think the recession, which they are determined to continue through the year 2012, will help in this situation. That driving up the oil prices will make Americans more willing to accept a bloody war in the Middle East on the theory that it's to fight the oil cartel, which is not their part of the oil cartel. And also, you've been quite successful in getting the protesters out. It's a tribute to all Americans and to the Europeans who are here, which is mostly Europeans, of course. they got off their helicopters, Bilderberg boys were a little bit late because they had all these rains that kept the helicopters grounded from Paris, where they're having their cover meeting of the NATO countries, where they're, of course, immediately calling for war and enlarging the war and getting more countries involved in the war. And but they were unable to get the helicopters through the heavy rainstorms they have here, so they were late getting in. They got off their helicopters. They were stunned. They shouldn't be stunned. They should be used to it by now. To see large numbers of protesters out challenging their presence. Also, you'll be reading about how a statesman from the Swiss government had denounced Bilderberg as an invasion of their sovereignty. They should not be part of this bloody mess. And the prime minister, a nice-looking lady, I forgot her name offhand, it's hard to pronounce anyway, said, "Oh yes, she agrees. We should not be involved. We should not surrender our sovereignty." But nevertheless, she did attend the opening meeting of Bilderberg and purred about how wonderful they are. So talk about two-faced monarchs.
Was that at the front meeting they had in Paris, as they normally do, to then shuttle in? And what is this in the Swiss papers? This is breaking news.
Oh, yes. Yes, they had heavy stuff in various newspapers, including Swiss language newspapers I can't understand, but I can recognize the name Bilderberg.
Yeah, Paul Watson's able to actually read it because he knows German. And it's very similar, and that's what he's telling us. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, we have several people here who did translations for us that already pulled out a lot of names. And David Rockefeller was positively identified, 100% identified by the troops. And he's about 96 years old, but he'll attend Bilderberg. The first time he does attend a Bilderberg meeting will be when he's dead, which is not too far in the future. So we're accumulating an awful lot of names. I believe Bilderberg may very well surrender, as they have in the past, their official list of participants. Nevertheless, we never stop identifying as many as possible for two reasons. We may not get to this, so we'll identify as many as we can with 100% certainty. And if we do get to this, there's always names on the positively identified list that were not on their own list, trying to cover up for some reason.
Have you seen Daniel Estelin this year?
Nope. I haven't seen it at all. He used to be, he was the leading Bilderberg fighter, but he's sort of disappeared in recent years. He was up briefly last year. He was unable to reach him by his either his cell phone or his internet.
Okay, just a side note, wondering if he was there. Now, continuing, Jim, your mole inside, you, of course, broke yesterday that they want to expand the war in the Middle East. They're worried about Congress standing up against Obama going along with the war without congressional approval. They're worried about the alternative press. They want to move to try to curtail the internet, which we see Sarkozy in Europe openly pushing for in these new UN treaties. They want their carbon tax. Their program is not going well for them. What else is on the agenda? You talked about they're desperate to prop up the euro because that's their receivership arm to gobble up sub-states. Any other intel on what's on the agenda?
Not too much more to add except their continued depression, which has they've undergone for more than 15 years. Their continued obscene references to American and European patriots who protest their president, and to the heavy hand of even the major newspapers, the Guardian of London, the Irish Times, all had very heavy stories. And they're especially intrigued by the fact that Kenneth Clark, spelled with a Clark with an E, longtime member of the British Parliament, a longtime Bilderberg luminary leader, is not coming this year. The speculation is why. The answer, when it comes, will be that he's done something bad, because these international